Are you struggling with early extension? We know that early extension is, if we draw a line down behind the butt, early extension is when we are moving away from that line, getting closer to the golf ball, often lifting up out of our posture. This can really mess up the strike, lose direction, but also rob you of power as well. Now, there are multiple reasons why we early extend. Some can be physical, so you need to make sure that physically you can do that as well. That does have an impact. But there's three things I'm going to share with you guys today that we see that really cause early extension and how you can make a big difference to fixing this. So let's start in the setup. We have to look at this first because a lot of golfers are trying to keep their butt back and fix the early extension in the golf swing, but often it starts with the setup, and the early extension can be caused just by your posture. Take a look at Devon here, a student that we had this week. Devon's posture, you'll see he was a little bit bent forward with his spine, but his butt was well behind the heels. So you'll see his posture was out here, and because that was out, you'll see in the swing, he would lose that posture. He'd move in from the early extension line in the backswing, but then even more so in the downswing. And you'll see there's almost 5 or 6 inches gap between his lower body, his hips, and that line. And that's a lot. Now take a look at the improvement here. You can see his posture is a lot more upright. He's got a little bit less flex in the legs. He's a lot taller. The line behind his butt is a little bit closer to his heel line, but look at the difference in his golf swing now. All we changed was his posture, and it almost completely got rid of his early extension. If you're thinking about trying to fix it in the golf swing and you haven't started at this point, then you could be missing out. So let's show you really what we did to get that posture and what you can do as well. So when it comes to the posture, we really want to see that we can get the hip more aligned over the ankle joint. So I'm going to stand up really tall here. From a tall posture, I want to hinge forward from the hip joint, keeping a nice neutral spine. You can see now I'm going to soften the legs. The legs are nice and tall. If I draw a line now behind the butt, you'll see that line is, it's not too far back behind the heels. A good guide is roughly about a club head behind the heel line. If I go into posture and hinge forward like this and overbend the legs, you'll see now that butt is well back. There's too much angle here. I'll swing back, and subconsciously now I'm going to try and find balance and then move forward. But that's all down to the setup. So if you can get into a position where you hinge forward, soften the legs so you really feel the weight through the middle of the feet, right through the middle of the arches. We don't want it heels, we don't want it toes. That's now positioned your hips right over the ankles, and that's going to help you really move in a much more dynamic way without you having to compensate for that. Another great guide, which is really important, is how close do you stand to the golf club? A great checkpoint, if I draw a line vertically down the back of the tricep, it should just run slightly in front of the knees and through the base of the toes. This is a great gap in order for us to actually maintain those body angles and keep that butt back. If I'm here and I create a huge gap between my arms and the body, what I'm going to do in the swing is I'm going to move into that gap in order to actually try and fill that space. And straight away now I've got to early extend in order to get to the ball, but now my balance is off, the strike's off, I'm losing all sorts of power. So we have to really get into a position where we are balanced with the hips over the ankle joint, and we're a good distance away from the golf ball. Don't overlook this. This is probably the most important part. What are you struggling with in your game at the moment as well? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll get back to as many as we can. Okay, let's talk about number 2. So number 2 is about the backswing. But before we go into the backswing, I want to show you really what leads to us wanting to move this way. Now, if we get the club in the downswing too steep, over the top, or a little too vertical, what we'll do from here is we'll often then try and shallow it out by shifting in with the hips, rising up with the body, and that helps us deliver the club on a better path or a better plane. If I'm steep, I keep the butt back and rotate, I'm going to go even more steep, maybe even miss the golf ball, but I'm going to swipe across it with big paths left. We don't want that, so what happens is we tend to start to do this move. So what we would like to see is that if we can get the golf club starting in the downswing a little shallower, a little more on plane early, then we can start to rotate and move the body well so we can keep that butt back. How do we do that? Well, one of the things that we see all the time is what we call arm depth. So golfers will come to us and have this steep downswing plane, and a lot of it will be due to the arms being a little too upright in the backswing. So if we draw a line down the butt of the club from here, we'll see it's sort of in front of the toe line. Now if I start my downswing now, I'm going to start it steep, then I have to play catch up and then try and shallow it out with the body. So if we can get the arms a little bit deeper around the body, so get the left arm a little bit more around, it's going to be easier in order to get the club swinging down closer to the swing plane. So a great checkpoint for us here. If I swing to the top of the backswing, if I draw a line now down the butt end of the club, I want to see that it's somewhere towards the heel line. That would be a little too much in front. Heel line here is a great guide because now, as I turn on the power, it's much easier to get the club working towards the plane, and then there's no need for me now to have to thrust in this way. I can now go ahead and rotate, keep the butt back, and maintain these posture angles that we started with. So here's a really good drill. Get yourself a golf club, get your setup, and all we want to do from here is I want to place this just in front of the foot, and we're going to place this, let's say somewhere between 30 and 40 degrees. Now, if I make a backswing from here, if I get the club a little too upright and the arm's too upright, I cannot see the club on the ground. So if I look down, the only way I can see that club is if I put my head between my arms. Now, what I want to see from here is if I swing back to the top of the swing and get the arm depth, I can now see the club above my arm. So I can clearly see this as a visual on the ground. I know my arms are in a great place. So now I can start to shallow the club in here and deliver that club by using the body in a much better way. This is a great reference point because I have no chance of seeing it from here. I need to get the arm over here to clearly see this above the arm. So you can hit shots doing this. So I'm just going to make a rehearsal. I don't even have to look. I can just see at the corner of my eye. I know the arm's around. Go ahead and do a shot. Repeat that for us. I can see then clearly that club throughout the whole of the backswing, even by looking at the golf ball. That could be a huge thing that's going to stop you from going steep and then thrusting forward. Okay, so the third and final one is, yes, in the golf swing. So we've covered a little bit of setup. How do we actually get the butt to actually stay back in the golf swing? And yes, there could be some physical limitations that cause this, but here's a great thing that you can do when you're on the range. Let's say you've nailed the setup and you've got the backswing looking good. What can you do to actually keep that butt back? Well, think about this. Early extension is actually moving the butt this way. What we want to do is actually reverse that feeling. We want to actually feel the butt is going this way. So this drill is going to help you. It's almost going to force you to move this way. So if I move in 2 inches closer, that is way too close for me to actually comfortably strike the golf ball. In order for me to make good contact, guess what I've got to do? I've got to create space. I've actually got to move away from the golf ball like this. Think of somebody like Jon Rahm who stands super close, but then actually creates space. You see a lot of the best players, they're moving back and they're rotating this way. So just by you getting closer to the golf ball, do this in practice, like torture it in practice, but when you get on the golf course, you don't need to stand this close, but it's going to give you a great feeling of moving you this way. So let's give it a go here. All I've got to try and do now is not shank it. I've got to see if I can find the middle of the face. Okay, and a pretty nice shot there actually, but I had to work hard. This drill, it's a forcer. It's going to force you to do the movement, because if you don't, guess what? If you go forward from that position, you're just going to shank it and you've got no chance. So if you're struggling with early extension, make sure you work through each one of those. Get your posture right, get the backswing good, and force yourself to move away from the golf ball. I guarantee you'll not only hit the golf ball better, but you'll be playing some better golf as well. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, if you want personal coaching from myself and Pierce, head over to meandmygolf.com, where we can give you personal feedback on your golf swing to help you play much better golf. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.